We can just tolerate about a teaspoon of sugar per meal, and after that the body will go into some kind of reaction. My name is Martina Johansson, and I have a master's degree in bioengineering, and I'm also a biohacker. So today I'm going to introduce you to the concept of basic biohacking. And I'm also going to teach you a few tricks that you can use tonight or this evening. And I don't know how familiar you guys are with the concept of biohacking already. Can you please raise a hand if you heard biohacking before? Wow, great. Then this will be very easy for you. So biohacking, it's basically about self-optimization. But biohacking incorporates the whole spectrum from fixing yourself when you're sick to optimize your mental and physical performance. And I think this is going to be huge in the future, because we can see an increasing trend where people are willing to take more responsibility for their own health. And I think that's needed too. And it's actually not a new trend, because it started in the early 80s. The trend was parallel to the computer hackers, and there's a lot of similar vocabulary as well. The thinking is the same. As a biohacker, we view the body as a set of programmable systems. And it's also, sometimes it can be a way to brute force your health, to take your health in your own hands and to really see how far you can get, either if you have health issues or if you feel pretty good and just want to perform at some higher level. So I'm going to show you what we can measure and track and hack. And as a biohacker, we use our own bodies, of course. We have pulse, temperature, weight, sleep, and energy and nutrient intake. A lot of people track and measure these things already, and a lot of people have a wristband, like I have, to track sleep and pulse, for example. And we can also, we have blood, saliva, breath, and stool, but it requires some lab equipment. But there's nothing we can't order online these days. So we really don't have a lack of information. The problem is more how to understand the body as a system and how to hack these systems and how to handle the body's own feedback loops, because it's not just adding supplements or changing your diet, because the body has its own way of functioning, and we're going to look at that shortly. I usually focus here on these two. Also, subjective things can be very important. Looking at your general appearance, looking at your fat distributions can say a lot about your hormones. Also, focus on your general mood. Are you happy? Are you focused? How are you feeling from day to day? Do you wake up early, jump out of bed, no need for coffee, go to sleep 10 p.m. in the evening? Or do you think there's stuff there that you can maybe improve? But just by looking at these two columns, we can get a lot of information, and there's a lot of things we can do with this. So if we just take the easiest thing to track, our pulse. We all have a pulse, hopefully, and it's easy to track, especially if we have a heart rate monitor with a chest strap. It's very popular among people that train cardio a lot. And the pulse is very volatile. It changes all day long. It changes whenever we're stressed, and it says a lot about our general health. It also says a lot about what type of, how well rested we are, and also if we stop getting results from our training, we can also take a look at our pulse to see what's going on. And this is because the pulse is connected to the HPA axis, or the stress axis. As we can see from this chart, there's a lot of feedback systems in the body. And we need to get to know these feedback systems to be able to hack our bodies. That's very important. Otherwise, we will get stuck somewhere here. Because if we just take a look at all the things that are controlled with our adrenals up here, they produce stress hormones, cortisol, but they also produce sex hormones like progesterone and testosterone. And the thing with the adrenal glands is that they have to pick one. They can't be producing a lot of stress hormones and at the same time producing a lot of progesterone and testosterone. So there's an issue right there for a lot of people. Pituitary gland and the hypothalamus in the brain control a lot of things. Blood pressure, sex hormones, fertility, metabolism, body temperature, hunger, etc. So when we want to focus on stress, for example, we can see that it affects so many things. And I pick stress because there's so many people today, even really young people, that suffer from severe stress, and a lot of people don't even know it. And we can easily detect our level of stress by doing a pulse test, because it's important for us to be able to seamlessly go from our sympathetic nervous system to our peripheral nervous system to be able to function. For example, when I'm up here on stage, my pulse is really high. This is definitely a fight and flight response for me, because it's scary to talk in front of a lot of people. But when I get home at night, 10 p.m., I'm going to bed, my pulse and blood pressure needs to go down to allow me to get a good night's sleep. And if it doesn't, then my sleep will obviously be disturbed, and a lot of other health issues will follow. So a very easy thing to do, a very simple test. A lot of sport coaches uses this test, and it's just lay down on a flat surface with your chest strap, or just measure your pulse, and lay down for 10 minutes, let your pulse go down, and then you stand up, and naturally your pulse and blood pressure will go up. And then if you're healthy and if you're well rested, your pulse will slowly go down again. And if it looks like this, if it doesn't go down again, if it continues up, then it's a sign of overactive sympathetic nervous system. And so many people today suffer from this, because you might not even feel it. Because there's a lot of things that can be very stressful for the body without you noticing it. And as we can see, you might believe that, oh, yeah, it's a lot to do at work. Yeah, I have a bit of a stressful family life, but that's fine. I can manage it. And we can, for a while, with just increased caffeine and increased sugar and stuff. But there's so many other things being affected by this. Disturbed sleep is just one thing, but lowered metabolism, weight gain. A lot of people complain that they can't lose weight. Increased blood sugar. People are so pre-diabetic today. Insulin resistance, and decreased fertility, hair loss, fatigue. That's just to name a few. So it's all connected, and you can see on the plus and minuses how they are all connected. And stress is so much more than just mental stress. It can also be physical and biological. Having a consistently high blood sugar, for example, that's a biological stress for the body. And you can also track the stress you experience from food by measuring your pulse before and after a meal. A lot of people, when they have a meal, for example, they start to sweat and the pulse gets high, and that's a typical sign of a histamine response, or a food intolerance. And a lot of people these days, they eat a lot of processed foods to kind of save time,